And hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Hits with Cwit. Happy to have you here today. Got a great show planned for you guys today, so stick around because it's going to be a great one here today. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Steel City Sport 4, and Charlie and I might even have a podcast this weekend together. So let's get started, but first, hit that music. And happy to have you guys back with us here today on this Thursday afternoon. So let's start off with the NFL. Stephon Diggs, the fabulous Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, he hasn't requested a trade, but he's leaning towards requesting one. You know, the Vikings getting off to a little bit of a struggle start. I think they're 2-2 right now. So it's frustrating, I guess, in the locker room for them to go 2-2 after having Super Bowl expectations with quarterback Kirk Cousins coming in. But I don't blame Stephon Diggs. Kirk Cousins, he's a below average quarterback. I could, as a Pittsburgh fan, I could compare Kirk Cousins, to Mason Rudolph without the $30 million. I know someone tweeted that earlier this week. I think it was Colin Coward, if I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless, the point is, I don't blame Diggs for frustrating, but you're a pro. You got to act like you're a pro. I know it's frustrating. I know you're struggling because you're 2-2 when you had Super Bowl expectations, but you just got to trust your teammates. I'm not a Minnesota fan, but if I was a Minnesota fan, I'd sure as heck would want Diggs on the team. He's a great talent. Him and Thielen, one of the best two wide receivers in the league. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind about that. No doubt about it. But it all leans back to number 3. Actually, no. Kirk Cousins is not very good. He's number 8. It all leans back to number 8. He is awful. If you're going for him, stay with Case Keenum. Why spend $30 million on him? If he's going to not even lead you to the playoffs in 1 year and leaning toward the direction that he's not going to do it again, why pay him $30 million? You could get a cheaper option with Case Keenum with that. There's 3 guys I really thought the Vikings could sign and might. 1, Case Keenum. It was a perfect situation. You led him to what? The NFC Championship versus the Eagles, and then they got their butt whooped, but still. Are you kidding me? And you don't sign him back? You think Cousins is a better option? Who's had below, up, and average years? Clearly didn't work out. Number 2, their option was Kirk Cousins. Or they could have brought Teddy Bridgewater back, who's doing a pretty good job there down in New Orleans. A pretty good job, if you ask me. They could have brought him back. He was in free agency. But they stuck with the 28-year-old quarterback who they're paying $30 million to. Kirk Cousins 31, by the way, excuse me. What do we put the range in Cousins for? What do you put him in? I guess you could put him in 18, 20. You put him in the Joe Flacco range? Do you? Or do you put him in Matthew Stafford range? Because I think Matthew Stafford's a lot better than Kirk Cousins. You ask me? Definitely. Definitely Matthew Stafford's better than Kirk Cousins. You put him in the Andy Dalton range, I would probably take Andy Dalton over Kirk Cousins, ladies and gentlemen. Hot take right there. Why? Because if Andy Dalton had a good of a line, I mean, it's not good a line down there in Minnesota, but it's okay that he doesn't get sacked if he play like Andy Dalton. He would at least get it to the receivers, get it to their playmakers. But Kirk Cousins can't do that. So, we started off with Stephon Diggs. We're going to end with Stephon Diggs on this segment. I'm going to give you 5 teams I think should pull the trigger and go for the all-pro receiver, Stephon Diggs. Number 1. This isn't in particular order, so bear with me. Number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Why not, right? What would the Vikings be asked for? Maybe, I don't think wide receivers are really worth a first-round pick. I'd say maybe a second. You think Diggs is worth a first-round pick? You kidding me? Why not? The Bills are 3-1, ladies and gentlemen. They're second in that division. They're going to have a wild card spot sooner than later. Sooner than later, the Bills are going to have a wild card spot, but they don't have any weapons for Josh Allen to work with. Why do you think he's scrambling every other play and getting knocked out by Jonathan Jones? Why? He doesn't have weapons. Who's his best weapon? Zay Jones? Cole Beasley? Dawson Knox? You're kidding me, right? It's a playoff contender, and it could bump them up to the playoffs. Let's be honest, it could. Are they going to beat the Patriots for that division? No, but it could bump them up to a wild card spot and have them looking good for after the Brady era. Because Diggs is still young. He's still young with all the time he spent in the league. He's 25 years old, ladies and gentlemen. He's 25. I don't think the Vikings will do it, but clearly Stephon Diggs isn't the happiest person down there in Minnesota. Number 2, the Raiders. Knock on wood if you're with me. Derek Carr and John Gruden are begging for a playmaker wide receiver. Begging. Who's the best Mayock got him this year? Tyrell Williams. Keelan Doss. If you watched Hard Knocks, you know who Keelan Doss is. That's it. That's all. Hunter Renfrow. Also another Hard Knocks guy. Lean on me if you know what I mean. But they're begging for a playmaker wide receiver. They had one in Antonio Brown, but we all know where Antonio Brown is now. Sitting on the street somewhere, begging for money, running his mouth on Twitter. Nonetheless, the point is, Carr and Gruden want a playmaker. Do I think Carr's a franchise quarterback? No, I don't. I don't think Carr's a franchise quarterback, even though he had that 1 year where he had an MVP type year until he got hurt. Don't argue me on that, because you know it's true. Well, you're going to say he wasn't going to win the MVP? They were legitimately a Super Bowl contender team. Don't at me on that one. Don't at me. Nonetheless, the point is John Gruden and Derek Carr are begging for a playmaker wide receiver. Number 3, the Houston Texans. And I know you're saying, oh, they have DeAndre Hopkins, probably the best wide receiver in the league. But it would open up the defense so much that they would have to try and double team Hop or double team Diggs, and they would be unstoppable. Problem is, they don't have any picks. They gave them all for Laremy Tunsil and Kenny Stills, which was a quite dumb trade, if you ask me. Quite dumb. Houston Texans, they kind of went all in. And what did they get? 2-2, tied with the rest of the division. They're not great. They're not a Super Bowl team. They're not going to beat the Patriots. They're not going to beat the Saints. Saints when healthy. They're not going to beat the Seahawks. Are you kidding me? They might. They have Stephon Diggs. They might. Number 4, another team in that division, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, obviously, with the Andrew Luck retirement, but they've got maybe a future franchise quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. He is not that bad, ladies and gentlemen. The fact is, he's kind of good. I would want him over Mason Rudolph as a Steeler fan. It's the truth. He's good. They're in a fight. They're in a fight of a playoff spot this year. They could even win the division, or they could be a wild card team. It would get them over the hump. It might will, because T.Y. Hilton seems like he's always injury prone. You got a younger version of T.Y. Hilton and arguably a better player. And it's going to help number 7 out a lot. The 5th and final team who I think need Diggs the most, the San Francisco 49ers. They don't have many good wide receivers. Credit, their wide receivers are young and still developing, but if you're 3-0, why not? You're 3-0, that means you're going to have, 25th, 26th pick if you make the playoffs and keep it up. Otherwise, it could go 3-13, get the first pick. But I don't think that's going to happen for the 49ers. They played the Bengals this year. Have you forgot? Their wide receiver group is quite weak. Dante Pettis was just put on IR. They just signed Jordan Matthews. Deebo Samuel's still developing. Marquise Goodwin is a splash play playmaker. But they need a consistent wide receiver to add to Jimmy Garoppolo's weapons as well as George Kittle. So that's that. I don't think Diggs will be traded, but it's always a possibility. Anything can happen in the NFL. Tom Brady could be traded tomorrow, for all I know. Anything can happen. It's the NFL. We're going to switch from football to baseball here. I'm going to talk to you about Pirates offseason and what it means for the city and the organization. So for Pirates fans, the offseason usually begins in the middle of August. By this time, they're usually out of playoff contention, which they were, so fans start looking at potential free agents that they can sign. Unfortunately, the Pirates rarely make marquee free agent signings, but this team is close to playoff contention in my opinion, so hopefully this is the year they make some signings. Who do they need? I'll tell you right now. They need a 5th starter. Because James Santana is going to be all out next year to Tommy John surgery. They might get Chad Kuhl back, but he's not that great. They got Trevor Williams, Musgrove, Mitch Keller. I am totally blanking right now. I apologize. I'm totally blanking. Stephen Brault had a pretty good year. I'll tell you what they need. Trevor Williams, he's okay. He's not great. Joe Musgrove, I think, is a very good pitcher. Very good pitcher. They could use another bullpen arm. They could use another outfielder as Melky Cabrera's contract will expire. I hope they re-sign the Milkman. He's done his job. He's a great role model for the team. They got their future center fielder and maybe even left fielder in Brian Reynolds. He can play anywhere. Colin Moran is okay. Kevin Newman's a stud. Adam Frazier is okay. Jose Ozuna's good. Josh Bell is very good. Keone Kella's good. Liriano's contract is expiring. And then they could use a catcher. Chris Archer's on the 6th. Chris Archer will probably be back by next year. That's the other one I was looking for. But, obviously, Clint Hurdle was fired. But I would like the person, and, Clint Hurdle was fired. The Pirates, they cleared house. Clint Hurdle, who's been a Pirates legend, was fired before the last game, which could tell you something. Tell you they didn't want Clint Hurdle. I mean, I don't think anyone on this Pirates organization wanted him. Is that Neil Huntington? Excuse me. But like I said, they cleared house, so they got rid of Clint Hurdle, Ray Searage, and Tom Prince. Ray Searage is a pitching coach, which I was talking about in my other podcast. If you missed that, go watch that. And then Tom Prince is the bench coach. Many people, especially on the Pittsburgh cast, they thought Tom Prince could even be a potential manager. But no. I don't know what the Pirates are doing. I mean, to all the managers' credit, how hard is it to manage a baseball team? I'm not trying to beef any managers because they do a good job of it. But what do you say? All right, guys, go get them. I mean, rarely do managers really call the game. I mean, they give them signs that no one knows what they're saying. Usually, it's pitching coaches that call the games and call the pitches. Manager just sits there, like I said in a couple podcasts earlier than this on Sportscaster. If you didn't see any of those, go check them out. Cwitty34 on sportscaster.com or the app Sportscaster. But like I was saying, Clint Hurdle, he didn't have a hard job at all. He's just sitting there chewing his bubble gum. I could do that. And what is he? My dad and I would always joke about this in the post game when he would talk to the media. On a loss, he would be like, "Oh, our guys didn't play well today. That's baseball, though. You're gonna have on and off games, but that's baseball, if I tell you." Like, how hard is it to say that? I could say that. Heck, I think I would rather be there than Clint Hurdle would rather be there because clearly he wasn't doing anything to help the team win. He didn't help the team win. I could do his job easily. All right, go in, Josh Bell. Go pull Musgrove. Go do whatever it is. Put out a lineup. Chew bubblegum. Sounds like a pretty fun job to me. That's not the point, though. The point is, this Pirates offseason will determine what this organization will do for the next 25 years. That's in 25 years, maybe a little much. I'll say 15. 15 years. We cleared house. Might as well, for clearing house, might as well get rid of that general manager or someone else buy the team. Might as well. It's a big year. Pirates got to find their identity. I don't think any Pittsburgh fan wants to hear a manager that just got hired for the Pirates to say his goal is to be a 500 team. We've got that for the past 10 years with Clint Hurdle. Are you kidding me? We won 3 playoff appearances. That's not what we want. We want a World Series. We don't want 500 baseball. That's boring. Boring. They're trying to find their identity. But like I said, they could add a fifth starter. Gio Gonzalez is one of those. If they really wanted to and, be ballsy for once, like the Pirates weren't in the past, they could go all in for Madison Bumgarner, but likely him get an extension this year. And possibly a catcher, because Elias Diaz isn't that great of a fielder or hitter, in my opinion. But we do have a heck of a backup catcher in Kevin Stallings. I said Kevin. Oh, my goodness. I'm a Pitt fan. Kevin Stallings might have been the worst thing that happened to Pitt basketball. That guy was awful. Jacob Stallings, excuse me, but he has been fantastic this year. Doesn't get playing. Does his job. What can you ask more in a backup catcher? What can you ask more? We're going to take a quick break. Come back after on Sports Hit with Cwit to preview the NFL. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast. all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And welcome back to Sports Hits with Cwit. I'm your host, Colin Whitty, talking about today. I'm going to talk about the Steelers and why not to rule them out. I listen to a lot of podcasts and maybe even a lot of talk shows. Colin Cowherd, Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius XM, Nick Wright, all those guys, Stephen A. Smith sometimes, and they all seem. I was watching First Take the other day, and they said there's no chance in heck that the Steelers make the playoffs. And I say, why not? So that an idea instantly popped into my mind. Why not to rule the Steelers out? Why not? Why not us? You think they were all doubting the Patriots when Drew Bledsoe went down? And a sixth-round pick, Tom Brady from Michigan, who didn't even start at Michigan sometimes, went in. Were they ruling him out? I bet they were. Why not us? Why not us? It goes back a long time to the Bad Boys. Why not us? The Bad Boys, if you haven't seen that documentary, that's the 86 Pistons, if I'm not mistaken. Probably am. But they consisted of a team who, you didn't like them. They didn't care. They did not care. They did not. It was the 1989 Pistons. 1980s. They didn't care what you said about them, what they're saying about you, what they did to you. They just went out and played a heck of a job. Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman led that team. Joe Dumars, all those guys, they were fantastic. Rick Mahone, Robert Horry, they were fantastic. So it goes back to the Steelers. Why not them? Why not get the 7th Super Bowl for the city of Pittsburgh? Why not it be a bad boy situation? Rule us out. I'm going to tell you why not to rule the Steelers out. Number 1, Mike Tomlin. And I know there might be Tomlin haters out there. Why are you hating on him? He's a top 5 coach in the NFL. Only coaches I could rank ahead of Tomlin, and there's an argument to a couple of these. Other ones, not so much. Belichick is obviously a better coach than Tomlin. 100%. We don't have to argue that much about that. Pete Carroll, you could say, is a better head coach than Mike Tomlin. Sean McVay, you could say, is a better coach than Mike Tomlin, but Sean McVay hasn't proven anything. He's off to a better start than Tomlin. Actually, no, he's not. Tomlin won a Super Bowl in his first year. I don't know if his first year. Tomlin. But, otherwise the point. Tomlin is 133, 76-1 in his career as a head coach. That is unbelievable. And you're saying to fire him? Who are you going to get better? Greg Williams? Greg Williams comes up with a losing platform from the Jets and originally from the Browns. You can rank McVay ahead of him. You could rank Sean Payton ahead of him, but I don't think you can rank Sean Payton ahead of him. Sean McVay doesn't win as much games as Mike Tomlin. They both have Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They both have below-average defenses. Why doesn't McVay win? Why doesn't Sean Payton win? I don't know. Pete Carroll, you can rank ahead of him. Andy Reid, you cannot rank ahead of Tomlin. I know Charlie, my partner, and I had this conversation on our second podcast, I think. That's on the Sportscaster app or sportscaster.com and look up CWitty34 and you can listen to all of those. It was great content, but we've moved on to Anchor now, which has been fantastic lately. But you can't rank Andy Reid over Mike Tomlin, and there's a reason why. Andy Reid might be the better regular season coach, but Tomlin is sure better in the postseason. Tomlin beat Andy Reid in the postseason. Andy Reid, when's the last time you won a playoff game? I know, but before the Patrick Mahomes era. Sorry. Before the Patrick Mahomes era, when's the last time Andy Reid has won a playoff game? He didn't win much with Alex Smith. He had a heck of a regular season with Alex Smith. They didn't do anything in the playoffs. How can you rank him ahead of Tomlin? I don't know. Number 2, the AFC North is wide open, people. Steelers win and the both Ravens lose. Well, if the Steelers would win, the Ravens would have to lose this weekend. But if the Browns lose to the 49ers, there's a 3-way tie in the division. With all the struggles the Steelers have gotten off to this year, with Ben Roethlisberger going down, his team starting 0-3, they're tied to the division. The division. We're not talking about no wild card here. We're talking about that division. Maybe say the most competitive division in the league this year, coming into the year. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. It's wide open. Heck, the Bengals could even come out. Come out of this division if they win. I don't see that happening, but it's that wide open that any team could do it. Any team in the league. This division is so wide open. Number 3, the veteran defense and their potential of a great defense and even a top 5 defense in the NFL. Steelers have a great defense. They have 9 first-round picks. 9. I don't need to explain much on this. They got Cwit, Hargrave, and Hayward commanding the middle. Their linebackers could be better, but they're good. T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree rushing the passer. Devin Bush, Vince Williams, and Mark Barron commanding the middle, calling most of the plays. Steven Nelson and Joe Hayden on the outside with Mike Hilton in the slot. Terrell Edmonds and Minka Fitzpatrick at safety. That's a heck of a defense. You can't tell me that's not top 5 defense in the league. You're going to rate the Saints over that defense? You're going to rate the Rams defense, who just let up 54 points to the Buccaneers? You're going to rate the Rams defense over them? Think that over twice. Number 4, the offensive line and running attack. Steelers coming into here arguably had one of the best offensive line units in the NFL. And what happened? I don't know. They looked rusty overall. Let's go through them. Villanueva didn't get off to a great start this year. Foster looked atrocious early on, but now seems to find his groove. DeCastro's an all-pro, but he's not doing much. Filer looks good. Hasn't had a lot of penalties. And Pouncey looks like an all-pro. So what went wrong? Is it the running attack with James Conner? Is it just they're playing great defenses? It might be they're playing great defenses. Credit the Bengals aren't a great defense. That's why they ran all over them all game long. 49ers have a good defense. DeForest Buckner commanding the middle. Quan Alexander at the linebacker position. Nick Bosa on the outside. Solomon Thomas inside. But they played the Seahawks with Clowney. They played the Patriots, who always have a plan coming in to stop the run or stop the pass. And they did. It's got to be better for us to win, though. Number 5, the creativity from Randy Fichtner has been phenomenal this year. This past week has been awesome. This Wildcat, getting these 2 running backs going, getting them out and about, helping Mason Rudolph with field position has been fantastic. Now, I love it. Control the clock. This is what the Steelers are going to do. They're not going to wow you and throw you all downfield. They're going to pound the ball and play for field position. And I know that's not a Steelers thing to say when you have number 7 in the backfield, a future Hall of Famer, Ben Roethlisberger. That's not a thing. When Ben was in the backfield, they were going to throw it 35 times, maybe even 40 a game. Now they want to control the clock, run the ball, wear down this defense. When Mason throws it, when Mason has to throw it, he will throw it. And if it's not open, he's going to check it down to his running back. And I love that. But some of it can be boring. Steelers are going to play for field position. If it gets some W's, I'll love it. But that's the 5 reasons not to rule the Steelers out. Let's switch over to a little fantasy football. Just this one quick segment on Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is a tank. He is an absolute animal what this guy's doing. He says 6 to 8 weeks of, rest for his ankle. He comes back after 2. And maybe we'll play this week. That's phenomenal. That's unbelievable what Saquon Barkley is doing. He's a monster. One flaw about him, he went to Penn State. I'm not the biggest Penn State fan. I'm more of a Pitt kind of guy. But if you're Saquon, a message from fantasy owners all around the world, don't rush it. Don't rush it. Unless you're 0-4 or 1-3 and you need a win this week, I wouldn't rush it. You got the whole year left, and your team is 2-2. 1 game out of the division. 1 game. They're hot with Daniel Jones. They're hot. They're hot. So don't rush it, Saquon. You could just injure it even more. Switching over back to the AFC North, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns. This question came up in a group chat, the 412 group chat, which consists of Matthew Pesacreta, Charlie Stafford, and his friend Trout, Matthew's friend. And this conversation came in the other day. Are the Browns meeting expectations? I say no. And I'm going to tell you right now. The Cleveland Browns, in my opinion, are not meeting expectations. What did you all think when Odell Beckham Jr. and they got Olivier Vernon traded up for Greedy Williams? They got Sheldon Richardson on the team. Denzel Ward coming back. Baker Mayfield coming back. And the addition of Odell Beckham Jr. What were Browns fans and NFL fans thinking? Super Bowl. Super Bowl. That's exactly what they were thinking. Super Bowl. First thing that came to their mind when Odell Beckham Jr. got traded to them. Super Bowl. Super Bowl. Is 2-2 a Super Bowl expectation team? Heck no. Heck no, it's not. 2-2 is not on path to the Super Bowl. On path to the Super Bowl is 3-1 or 4-0. Yet they have a chance. They have a chance to be in the Super Bowl. A chance. They're all thinking, when Odell was traded to the Browns, all these analyst guys were thinking that the Browns were going to do great. And 4 weeks in, they're 2-2. Facing the meat of their schedule coming out in the 49ers, Patriots, and Seahawks. The Browns could be 2-5, ladies and gentlemen. 2-5. They might not lose all 3 like the Steelers did, but guarantee you they'll lose 1. And I think they'll lose to the Patriots, might even lose to the 49ers, and might lose to the Seahawks. Those are 3 hard games. Hard. You go out on the West Coast, you think it's easy to win on the West Coast in Week 5 versus 49ers? Heck no, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not easy. But switching over to college football, as you may know, I'm a Michigan fan. This is a must-win game for Michigan versus Iowa. Iowa comes in as a 14th ranked team in the college football rankings. Michigan comes in as the 18th, maybe even 19th. I'm blanking here, but Michigan hasn't gotten out to the best start. 19th ranked team in the AP poll rankings. Michigan has not gotten off to the best start this year. Obviously, they lost their key players on their defense in Devin Bush and Rashawn Gary and Chase Winovich and all those guys. But they still got their offensive back, and they still got their offensive line back. Most important, they got number 2 back, Shea Patterson. Shea hasn't gone out to the best start, but to their credit, they have a new system that they're trying to learn. But it's a hit or miss for Michigan. It's a hit or miss. This season could go down the tank, or they can go what they did last year, lost at Notre Dame, and go undefeated up until the Ohio State game. It could be either or. I don't think Michigan will go like 2-2 in these next upcoming 4 games that will be ranked opponents. They got Iowa, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. They could go 0-4. They could go 1-3. They could go 3-1. They could go 4-0. Could go 2-2. We don't know. It's a hit or miss for Michigan this year. We're going to take a quick break. Preview an NBA when we come back on the Sports Hits with Cwit. And welcome back to Sports Hits with Cwit. So NBA is about a couple weeks away from preseason, so not quite, let's say, game time yet. We're in the pregame. But let's preview the NBA year. No, I'm from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh, I've been dying. I'm not that big of an NBA guy. I watch it. I don't keep track of it like an NBA nut, but I'm more football kind of guy, baseball sometimes. But I watch the NBA game when it's on with Mike Breen and all those guys. But coming from Pittsburgh, you wonder, which team do I like? Am I one of those fans that's a bandwagon? And the answer is no. I'm not one of those fans that's a bandwagon. I am a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. You know why? Because I went to a Cleveland Cavaliers game. So I'm a Cavs fan probably for life, to be honest, unless some team moves to Pittsburgh. Now, the Cavaliers, did they have a good offseason? No. Yes. They didn't do anything in free agency because they didn't have money because they were paying Kevin Love $30 million a year. But they did have a heck of a draft, in my opinion. New head coach John Beilein, new program that they're about to have. Coming from a Michigan fan here, I'm happy that John Beilein went to a team of mine that I actually like. But let's preview the Cavs. Their starting lineup will probably consist of Darius Garland at the 1, Colin Sexton at the 2, maybe Kevin Porter. Probably they'll start off with Osman at 3, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson. If you ask me, that's an 8 seed. That's an 8 seed, nothing else. 8 seed, maybe even a 7 seed. At most. I see what Beilein did, and I like it this offseason. Darius Garland, some people thought he wasn't going to be a top 5 pick because of his injury. And he thought, why would they go to the Cavs? Why would they pick him? And I'm going to tell you why. A perfect example of this is Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. That's a perfect example. It's the best comparison I could come up with. Another one, but not as good as those two. Better than those two, but aren't really that comparable. Russell Westbrook and James Harden, which I will talk to in a minute. We got Dylan Windler coming off the bench. He's a great player. He can splash a little bit. The Cavs are going to be an 8 seed. They're still developing. They're still very young, but they got to get rid of Kevin Love. Got to get rid of that $30 million contract. So let's talk about the NBA free agency. NBA free agency, let's say it was surprising. Most teams thought that everyone was going to the Lakers. Let's just say that. And for going to the Lakers, I'll tell you what the Lakers got. They added Anthony Davis this offseason. And if you ask me who won the trade, in my opinion, I'm going to say the Lakers. And I'm going to tell you why. They kept their most valuable asset, Kyle Kuzma. Is Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart good players? Will they be good? Yes. I think those 3 first-round picks, will they be good? Yes. Are they Anthony Davis, though? No. Anthony Davis is arguably the top center in the NBA. No doubt about it in my mind. Am I sold on the Lakers yet? No. They got LeBron, who, probably will be. He's not regressing, but he's not improving like he is in previous years. They got Danny Green, who's going to be a great fit against LeBron for LeBron. I said earlier, I didn't say this on a podcast because it started. I said earlier in the offseason, if they wouldn't be able to capitalize and get Anthony Davis, that they should go for Klay Thompson. He's a great fit next to LeBron James. A spot-up three-point shooter who can play defense. He's a great fit. But the Lakers didn't have a bad offseason. They got Dwight Howard on their team, who's making his reunion with the Lakers. Cousins is hurt. Rondo's back, which is a good deal. He's a veteran point guard. You need a veteran point guard in the finals. Ask J.R. Smith about that. They have Danny Green on the team, who's going to be, like I said earlier, is going to be a great player next to LeBron James. He's a spot-up three-point shooter, athletic, can shoot, can play defense and all that stuff. But he'll be good next to LeBron. They've got LeBron James, obviously, probably I wouldn't say the GOAT. I say MJ's better, but it could go 50-50 on that one. And then they got Kyle Kuzma and then Anthony Davis. That's a great team. There might be better teams out there. Another team that everyone thinking they'll be that great. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have gone to the Los Angeles Clippers together. My first reaction when I heard this news that they were going to LA, that they were going to the Clippers, not the Lakers, shocked. The Thunder traded Paul George away to the Clippers. Paul George is a great player. But is he a playoff player? What the Thunder give up? What the Clippers give up? They gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who looked phenomenal last year. He looked phenomenal. They gave up Danilo Gallinari, who is okay, and they get first-round draft picks in 2022, 2024, and 2026, along with 2 first-rounders choices via Miami 2021 and 2023. And OKC obtained the rights to swap first-round picks in 2023 and 2025. Wow. They gave up a lot. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I thought was going to be a key player for that team. Guess not. They're just shipping him off. Another team that's been shipping off guys this offseason. Not that much. Andre Iguodala and the Warriors, he finally said goodbye. I don't know if he's on the team right now. He might be on the Grizzlies. But I thought they bought out his contract to be off the team. But they said goodbye to Kevin Durant after the Achilles injury. Not handling it well by KD, KD said about the GM. But KD went to the Nets with Kyrie in Brooklyn. But I think the Warriors could be better. I mean, they're not going to be better without KD, but they're not going to be a lot worse. I think the Warriors will make the finals. Call me crazy, but I think Curry's only rising. Curry's the best point guard in the league. Curry was phenomenal last year. Klay Thompson's going to be hurt, but they got Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's a Michigan guy, but he's not Klay Thompson. They got Draymond Green, who can do everything. They've added D'Angelo Russell, who's been a key point. He'll be a key player in that team. They got Draymond Green, who can do anything. And they can plug anyone in at the 5. Anyone in at the 5. They could plug in Bogut. They could plug in Looney. Anyone they want. Heck, they could go get Kendrick Perkins. But let's move to the Rockets. Am I intrigued by the Rockets? No. And I'm going to tell you why. The Rockets obviously made a splash move after this offseason, after they had an opportunity to beat the Warriors, but they choked. The Rockets went all in for Russell Westbrook this year to have a reunion with James Harden. And I'm going to tell you why that was probably the worst move for the Rockets in this organization. I'm going to tell you the trade details first. The Rockets gave up Chris Paul, who will fit in nicely at OKC, maybe even a playoff team. They gave up a 2024 first-round pick, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2025 swap, a 2021 swap, and an OKC can swap Clippers pick or Heat pick. Now, you're looking at it saying, a lot of first-round picks probably going to be in the 20 range, but does Westbrook work with Harden? Because they both want to shoot 30 times a game, if I'm not mistaken. They're both selfish, take bad shots, and they're hard to coach. Westbrook is very hard to coach, if you ask me. Harden's hard to coach. It's not the best move for the Rockets to go all in because of the stacked up Western Conference. The Rockets aren't going to beat the Lakers. They're not going to beat the Clippers. They're not even going to beat the Warriors. Are you kidding me? How are they going to beat the Warriors? Let's match them up. Curry's going to guard West. No, actually, Clay's going to guard Westbrook when Clay is healthy. Clay's going to be healthy by the All-Star break. They're going to put Clay on Westbrook. He's going to knock him down. They're going to put maybe even Draymond Green. Now, they probably put Russell on Harden, trying to contain him. They'll double him every play. They'll put Steph Curry on, Austin Rivers or something. Whoever's starting. Who's going to guard Curry? Westbrook? Westbrook's not a great defender. Harden's not a great defender. Who's going to guard Clay? Harden? Harden's going to be trying to help Westbrook, and Clay's going to be wide open for a three. And he's going to make it 8 times out of 10. I'm going to tell you why Philly had a bad offseason. I went to camp this summer, the sports broadcasting camp. It was a great time. That was in Philadelphia at Villanova University, which is a great campus. But they were all kind of ticked off from the, Kawhi Leonard shot from the corner. And they are all saying, run it back. Why? Their bench is horrible, and clearly they didn't run it back. They signed Tobias Harris to the largest contract in Sixers history. 5 years, $180 million. Is Tobias Harris really worth that much? Is he? That's $36 million a year. Is Tobias Harris worth that much? Was he even an All-Star last year? Was he? No. Jimmy Butler's gone. He's down there in Miami, enjoying the weather, hoping D-Wade would come back, but D-Wade's done, ladies and gentlemen. Heck of a career by Dwayne Wade. Hall of Famer for sure. 2 NBA championships. Amazing what that guy has done. Nonetheless, Jimmy Butler's gone, and you replace Jimmy Butler with Al Horford, the Joel Embiid killer. Joel Embiid's out of shape. Ben Simmons can't shoot. Tobias Harris isn't worth $36 million. Al Horford's past his prime. And Josh Richardson is unproven. Philly will be a 6 seed, in my opinion. Let's go to another team in the Eastern Conference who made a lot of firework noise in this offseason. The Brooklyn Nets have signed Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Heck of an offseason for the Nets who needed it. Now, everyone thought they were going to go to the Knicks, but they just spoil them and go to the other New York team, the Nets. Do I think it will work out? Yes, but they won't win the championship. I think there's better teams out there. Better depth. And who would you rather have? LeBron James, arguably the best player of all time, Anthony Davis, arguably the best center of all time, or Kevin Durant, who's going to be not as explosive coming back from his torn Achilles, and Kyrie Irving, who's a horrible leader. I'd take LeBron and Davis 10 times out of 10. I don't know about you guys, but I'm taking Davis 10 out of 10. Davis and LeBron. Moving from Davis's former team, the Pelicans have made, I guess you could say, a splash move this offseason. I mean, they drafted the most hyped up prospect since LeBron James, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Zion Williamson, and I'm going to give you 3 reasons why Zion will be good and why he will not be good. Number 1 reason why he will be good is his freakish athletic ability. This guy can jump out the gym, ladies and gentlemen, and he's strong, and he can do anything. He can play inside, he can play outside, he's fast. He's a high vertical, he can jump. He's strong. That leads to number 2. He's strong. He'll bully little guys in the league. He could post you up. He could post you up. 9 out of 10 times he's going to take it to the rack and lay it in or even dunk it on you. Number 3 reason why he will be good. The unbelievable defense and the potential on offense. Zion Williamson has the potential to be one of the greatest players to ever play. He had better athleticism than LeBron. LeBron probably has a better skill coming out of high school. But Zion has a better motor, in my opinion. He has a better athletic ability, but he doesn't have better skill. Skill matters in the NBA these days. 3 reasons why Zion won't be good. Number 1, he's overweight. He looked like at the Summer League, he looked like he was 300 pounds. He was dragging out there. He was dragging. That's what New Orleans can do it for you, ladies and gentlemen. They'll make you overweight. All that barbecue down there, having fun with Drew Brees on the sideline, they'll make you overweight. All those burgers wound up getting to you. He looks like Charles Barkley. Number 2, he's a horrible shooter. You need to shoot to be in the NBA, to be a great player. We name out the top 10 players in the NBA. All 10 of them can shoot. LeBron James can shoot. Kevin Durant can shoot. Anthony Davis can shoot. Kemba Walker can shoot. Kawhi Leonard can shoot. Paul George can shoot. All of them can shoot, except Zion Williamson. He has a horrible form. He yanks it back, and it looks like the ball's spinning all around. Doesn't have a good form. He can't shoot from off the dribble. He has to be spot up and shoot. Blake Griffin can shoot. He was compared to Zion Williamson a lot. He can shoot. Number 3 reason, guys are as big as him. Zion Williamson is 6'7", 280 pounds. Arguably one of the strongest guys to come out of the draft process since I can't even name him. But there's guys as big as him. Any center in the league, this isn't college basketball anymore. This is the NBA. This is the big boys. Big boys. Can he bring it over? I don't know. We got a little game that I'd like to play with the first overall pick in the NBA draft. So I'm going to go back 15 years to 2004, where the Orlando Magic were picking number 1. And we're going to play a little game. I'm going to go up to 2019, a little game of hit or miss. So let's start out with 2004. The Orlando Magic selected Dwight Howard, a center. Uh, Hit. Dwight Howard has done pretty good in his career. Has slowed down now, but he's getting older. But at the beginning of his prime with the Magic, he was a good player. 2005, the Milwaukee Bucks selected Andrew Bogut, a center from Australia, and he's done okay over his years, but he isn't great, so miss on that one. 2006, the Toronto Raptors picked Andrea Bargnay. I've never heard of that guy, so obviously he's going to be a miss. And 2007, the Portland Trailblazers picked Greg Oden, a center from Ohio State University. That's a big-time miss. Big-time miss. Big-time miss from Greg Oden. He's not even in the league anymore. Not even in the league. Didn't play well. Horrible. 2008, the Chicago Bulls selected Derrick Rose. I'm going to give this one a hit. Even with all the injuries Murray is now, he's still a hit. He was still an MVP. He's from Memphis. He's a great player. I'm going to give this one a hit. 2009, the Los Angeles Clippers selected Blake Griffin, forward from Oklahoma. I'm going to give this one a hit, even though he was traded from the Clippers. Lob City can only be for so long. He was traded to the Pistons a couple years ago, and it's done an okay job, but the Pistons cannot seem to win a playoff game. But it's not all relating back to number 32, Blake Griffin. In the 2010 draft, the Washington Wizards selected John Wall, point guard from Kentucky University. I'm going to give this one a hit. He's done very well in his career, especially going to a poor organization in Washington. They haven't done that well over the past couple of years, but John Wall is dealing with them injuries. I still think he's a good player. 2011, the Cleveland Cavaliers selected Kyrie Irving. This is a big-time hit from Duke University. Did play a lot of games in college, but has still proven why he should have and was the number one pick in that 2011 draft. In 2012, the New Orleans Hornets, now the New Orleans Pelicans, selected Anthony Davis, a center from Kentucky. This one's a big-time hit. Anthony Davis is now on the Lakers, though, doing big things in the NBA. 2013, the Cleveland Cavaliers selected Anthony Bennett, a forward from UNLV University. I know you guys are thinking, I've never heard of that guy, and you're right. It's a big-time miss, probably one of the biggest draft busts of all time, but he's just horrible. In 2014, the Cleveland Cavaliers selected Andrew Wiggins, a forward from Kansas University. I give this one a hard miss, and I'm going to tell you why. Andrew Wiggins, directly that offseason, was traded for Kevin Love, who was a key acquisition for that 2016 playoff run for Cleveland Cavaliers, especially when LeBron James came back. And Wiggins was traded to a pretty good team in the Timberwolves, but hasn't done much over the year. He hasn't done much, let's be honest. And the Timberwolves were picking first overall in the 2015 draft, and they selected Karl-Anthony Towns, center from Kentucky. This one's a big-time hit. He was an all-star last year and is continuing to be a big-time player for that Timberwolves organization, but can't seem to win, especially in playoff time. But the Philadelphia 76ers selected Ben Simmons in the 2016 draft from a guard or forward from LSU. Simmons was a miss at first, but he's starting to become a hit. He didn't play his rookie season, but it seemed to turn around with that. He's done a pretty good job, but he needs to learn how to shoot to be a successful NBA player. 2017, Philadelphia 76ers selected Markelle Fultz, and he hasn't played. He played, 10 games for Philly over the years until he was hurt again. But I think the Magic got a steal. Magic actually traded for Fultz this past trade deadline. He's got to fix his form, and then he'll go back to Markelle Fultz, number 1 overall pick. The 2018 draft, the Phoenix Suns selected DeAndre Ayton, a center from Arizona. It's hard to tell with these guys, but, he's gotten off to a fairly good start, averaging 16 points a game with 10 rebounds and 1 assist a game. That's pretty good numbers, but he's on a losing team in the Suns. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get into Week 5 game picks and hot takes at the end, and we're going to wrap it up. Stay on with the Sports Hits with Cwit. And welcome back to Sports Hits with Cwit. Let's get in the Week 5 game picks for the NFL season. The Seahawks and Rams lead off your games tonight on Thursday Night Football. The under is the Seahawks are going 1.5 under, and the over-under for the game is 49 points. And I'm going to pick the over on that game, and I'm going to pick the Seahawks are going to win 34-31. The Rams are coming off a tough loss last week, getting 54 points putting up on them by the Buccaneers, who aren't that very good. But I think the Seahawks are a fairly good team, and the Rams are a fairly good team. This one's going to be bound to a while, but I'm going to pick the Seahawks are going to win 34-31 on a game-winning field goal. The Jets and Eagles. The Eagles are minus 14 in this game, and the over-under is 44.5. I'm going to pick the Eagles are going to win this game, and I'm going to take the under on that one. I have the Eagles winning 28-10. The reason why is the Jets are still struggling, and I don't think Sam Darnold is coming back anytime soon. And the Eagles have gotten a big win in the Green Bay last week on Thursday Night Football a week ago, and I think they're trying to find their stride back. But I think this one will be a great game. Psych, no. I think it will be a bad game. I think the Eagles will win 28-10, and no conversation. The Jags and Panthers, Gardner Minshew leads his Jaguars with a 2-2 record into Carolina, and I think they'll get the job done 24-17. The over-under is 41 points, and I have it on the dot, and the Panthers are minus 3.5 this game. But I think the Jags will surprise everyone. Gardner Minshew, it's probably going to be Gardner Minshew versus Kyle Allen, who coming into the year, you didn't know who any of those QBs were. I didn't even know him, and I'm a sports fanatic. But I think the Jags' defense will play a key factor in this game. I think they just got to contain Christian McCaffrey, and I think their offense can be explosive with Gardner Minshew at the quarterback. And I think the Jags will go through a 3-2 record on the year. The Vikings and Giants. The under this game is -5 to the Vikings, and for some reason, I didn't get the over-under on this game, but I have the Vikings winning 17-3. I think the Giants' magic with Daniel Jones will come to an end here. I think the Vikings are just too good of a team, have potential to be a great team, and I don't think Saquon Barkley will play in this game, which will be a key factor for this Vikings defense. They only have to worry about a couple guys now, Evan Ingram being one, and Wayne Gallman, who is obviously not Saquon Barkley. So I think the Vikings will win 17-13. The Falcons and Texans. The over-under in this game is 49, and the Texans have it -5. And I think the Texans will win this game 24-14. And the Texans having a rough start in the year, only 2-2, tied with all the teams in that division. And I think they're going to try and find their stride. I think DeAndre Hopkins will have a big game, a bounce-back game after being shut out for, last week by who'd they play last week? I forget. It's blanking. It's been a long day, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll move on. The Bucks and Saints, the over-under on this game is 47.5, and the Saints have it as -4.5. I'm having the Bucks taking this game 31-23. I think the Bucks have gotten a confident booster after that week 4 victory versus Rams, winning by 14 on the road, putting up 54 on that Rams elite defense. I think they've gotten confidence. I think they've gotten swagger. So I think they're going to come into New Orleans and with a lot of swagger, and I think they're going to win 31-23. The Bills and Titans, it's going to be -2.5 for the Titans, and the over-under will be 38.5. I'm going to take the Bills to win, the Titans to win this game 13-7. I think. Is it? No, it's not Kyle Allen. Matt Barkley, I think, will not play his best game. Obviously, Josh Allen will be in concussion protocol and will likely miss this game. So I'm taking the Titans, and I think the Titans will improve the 3-2 on the year with a 13-7 victory over the Buffalo Bills. The Cardinals and Bengals, the Bengals have it -4.5. The over-under is 48.5. I think this game could be a shootout, but I think the Cardinals offense with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray will be too explosive for this Bengals defense to handle, and I think they will win this game 21-16 late in the fourth quarter with a Kyler Murray game-winning touchdown to Larry Fitzgerald. The Pats and the Redskins, the Patriots have it -15, and the over-under on this game is 44 points. And I think the Patriots will take care of business and move to 5-0, and I think they'll win 27-6 with Dwayne Haskins likely starting going up against this very good Patriots defense. I think the Patriots will have a plan coming in for Dwayne Haskins. They'll get pressure on him, and I think the Patriots will win 27-6. The Steelers and Ravens. The Ravens have it -4. The over-under is 42.5. I'm picking the Steelers to win. I know you think I'm biased, but I think the Steelers have the talent to do it. They're getting the Ravens at the right time with them losing 2 straight after a AFC North division loss last week versus the Browns. And if the Browns can do it, I think the Steelers can do it. I think the Steelers will win 23-17 with Jalen Samuels and James Conner having a big day. The Bears and Raiders. The Bears are -5.5, and the over/under on this game is 41.5. And I'm actually taking the Raiders to win 21-14. Obviously, you may know Mitchell Trubisky has a dislocated shoulder, and I think he's going to miss this game, so that will leave it up to Chase Daniel. I don't think Chase Daniel is the best player, especially with the Raiders being home this game. Look for the Raiders to bounce back and be 3-2 on the year. Knock on wood if you're with me. The Chargers and Broncos. The Chargers are -6.5 here, and the over/under is 44. I'm going to take the Chargers to win 24-13. Chargers kind of finding their groove after, a tough couple losses early on with the Texans and all that. But they're getting the Steelers next week, and I think this will be a confidence booster with the Broncos, who will now go to 0-5 for the first time ever since 2000, I think, with Vic Fangio and high expectations coming in. Packers and Cowboys. The Cowboys have a -3.5 lead, and I think the over/under is 47, and I think the Aaron Rodgers will do it again at AT&T Stadium like he always does. A minute time left, and I think he will drive right down the field and score a touchdown and win the game 35-31. The Colts and Chiefs, that's going to be on Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth will be calling that game. Chiefs are -10. The over/under is 57, which is quite a big one. And I think the Chiefs will take care of business. I think they're home at that game. But nonetheless, I think they'll take care of business 31-14. I think Pat Mahomes has a big day and continue to the Chiefs, who will be 5-0, only them and the Patriots. The Browns and Niners, I have the Niners are -3, and the over-under is 47.5. I'm taking the Niners to win this game 24-14. It's really hard to travel over that West Coast, especially coming all the way from Cleveland. Steelers couldn't do it, and I don't think the Browns can do it. So let's get into a little hot takes, a little quick minute of hot takes. I think Stephon Diggs will ask for a trade and end up at one of those teams I said before. And I think Jalen Ramsey will request a trade, is requesting a trade. Then Gardner Minshew will take him to the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, Jalen Ramsey will want to stay. The Bills, I think, will sign Dez Bryant when he is reported healthy. Dez Bryant, tore his Achilles last year when he signed with the Saints. I think it was on the first day of practice, which was unfortunate. Dez Bryant wants a job. He's been on Twitter, it seems like, all day long, just tweeting over and over again. But I think it will be a key addition for the Bills and maybe even a playoff team. Deontay Johnson, I think, will finish with the most catches on the Steelers team. He gets the most targets, especially with Mason Rudolph as quarterback. They're trying to get Juju involved, but Deontay Johnson's has the Juju role last year, getting one-on-one coverage with their second-tier corner. Juju's getting the first. Juju's getting the AB role last year, and Juju has not adapted well to it, but I think Deontay Johnson will finish with the most catches. And I think Devin Bush will be winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously, he's gotten out to a little slow start, but last year got a good confidence booster from the Bengals. Had a couple tackles, even had his first career sack, and seemed to be all around the ball, sideline to sideline thumper. The only reason the Steelers got him. And I think Chase Daniel will beat out Mitchell Trubisky for the starting quarterback spot. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is that great. I don't know if there's much to explain for this. I just don't feel like he's that great of a quarterback. Obviously, he's gotten off to such a slow start this year. It's just had a chance to take Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and they took Mitchell Trubisky, traded up for him actually, gave away their second-round pick, which could have been a key player in that draft class, but traded up for Mitchell Trubisky with the 49ers. But I think Chase Daniel will eventually beat out Mitch Trubisky for this starting spot. And the last one for today, before I let you go, is Daniel Jones will finish top 5 in touchdowns. Daniel Jones has gotten off to a fairly good start with the Giants. Obviously, a lot of speculation coming in. Was he the right pick, especially at number 6? I think he was. I said that before, all on Sportscaster. You can go check that out again. That's Cwitty34 on Sportscaster app, or you can look up sportscaster.com and look up the username Cwitty34. You can all look at my past podcasts I've had over the past couple of months. But that's going to be all today. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the games this weekend, and I'll see you next time.